Grux trudged through the mineral-laden terrain of Zorax, his claws scraping against the rough surface. The sun cast an amber glow over the landscape, but his mind was elsewhere, focused on the day's excavation. His eyes caught a peculiar glint from a rock embedded in the ground. With a grunt, he pried it loose and examined it. "Just another worthless stone," he muttered, tossing it aside. A spaceship's roar interrupted the quiet as it descended nearby, kicking up dust and debris. Lydia Chun stepped out, her eyes scanning the surroundings. Her crew followed, laden with equipment and curiosity. Lydia, a skilled jeweler and trader, had come to Zorax seeking new opportunities. Her eyes fell upon the discarded rock, now half buried in the dirt. She picked it up, her fingers tracing its rough edges. "This is no ordinary stone," she whispered, feeling a tingle of excitement. She turned to her crew. "Set up the workshop. We're going to show these Zoraxians what they've been overlooking." As the humans began their work, Grux and a few other Zoraxians approached, curiosity piqued. "What do you hope to achieve with that?" Grux asked, his tone dripping with skepticism. Lydia smiled warmly. "I see potential in this rock, potential you might not have considered." She held the stone up to the light, revealing a faint shimmer within. "With a little effort, this could become something beautiful." Grux snorted. "We've been mining this planet for generations. If there was value in these rocks, we'd have found it by now." Undeterred, Lydia and her team set up their equipment. The air filled with the hum of machinery and the clinking of tools. Lydia's skilled hands moved with precision, transforming the rough stone into a smooth, polished gem. Her focus was intense, her passion evident in every cut and grind. The Zoraxians watched, their initial skepticism slowly giving way to intrigue. Hours passed, and the once rough rock now sparkled brilliantly under Lydia's deft touch. She held up the finished piece, a stunning gemstone radiating light in all directions. Grux's eyes widened, a mixture of shock and admiration crossing his face. I've never seen anything like it," he admitted, his voice softer now. The other Zoraxians murmured in agreement, their previous doubts melting away. "This is just the beginning," Lydia said, her eyes meeting Grux's. "There's a lot we can learn from each other, and much we can achieve together. But first, we need to look beyond the surface." Grux nodded slowly, the weight of her words sinking in. "Perhaps you're right. Perhaps we have been too quick to judge." As the sun set, casting long shadows over the rocky landscape, Lydia felt a sense of accomplishment. The first step towards a new partnership had been taken. She knew the road ahead would be challenging, but the spark of possibility had been ignited. The Zoraxians dispersed, leaving Lydia and her crew to pack up their workshop. As they worked, Lydia couldn't help but smile. The discarded stone had become a symbol of potential and cooperation. She looked forward to the days ahead, knowing that this was just the beginning of something extraordinary. The morning sun cast a golden hue over the rocky plains of Zorax as Lydia Chan and her crew prepared their makeshift workshop. The air buzzed with anticipation and the soft hum of machinery. Lydia's fingers tingled with excitement as she positioned the gemstone, ready to unveil its hidden beauty. Grux watched from a distance, his skepticism tempered by curiosity. "Do you truly believe this stone can be of any worth?" he asked, stepping closer. Lydia glanced up, her eyes sparkling with determination. "I don't just believe it. I know it," she replied, her voice steady. "Every gem holds a story, and it's our job to uncover it." Her crew worked diligently, setting up tools and calibrating equipment. The sounds of grinders and polishers filled the air, mingling with the soft chatter of the Zoraxians who had gathered to observe. The atmosphere was electric, charged with the potential of discovery. As Lydia began to cut into the stone, she felt the eyes of the Zoraxians upon her. Each slice, each grind revealed a glimmer of what lay beneath. The gemstone, once rough and unremarkable, started to shine with an inner light. Lydia's hands moved with practiced precision, her focus unwavering. "Where did you learn to do this?" asked Kira, a young Zoracian, her eyes wide with wonder. Lydia smiled without looking up. "Years of practice and a lot of passion," she said. "It's like sculpting with light. You have to see beyond the surface to the brilliance within." Grux huffed, crossing his arms. "Words are easy. Results are what matter." Hours passed, and the rock slowly transformed. The Zoraxians watched, captivated, as Lydia's creation took shape. Sweat glistened on her brow, but she continued tirelessly, her every movement deliberate and confident. Finally, she held up the finished piece, a radiant gemstone that caught the light and scattered it in a kaleidoscope of colors. The crowd gasped, awestruck by the transformation. The gemstone was now a beacon of beauty, its worth undeniable. Grux stepped forward, his expression a mix of astonishment and respect. "You've truly made something remarkable," he admitted, his voice softer than before. "Perhaps we have underestimated these rocks." Lydia nodded, her face glowing with satisfaction. "There's potential all around us, Grux. Sometimes it just takes a different perspective to see it." The Zoracian elder studied the gemstone, a newfound appreciation in his eyes. "We must reconsider what we have overlooked," he said, turning to address his people. "There is much we can learn from these humans." The tension of the previous day seemed to melt away, replaced by a sense of mutual respect and curiosity. The Zoraxians crowded around Lydia and her crew, eager to learn more about the process and the possibilities it held. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the plains, Lydia felt a deep sense of accomplishment. This was more than just a successful demonstration. It was the beginning of a partnership based on shared knowledge and mutual respect. Lydia turned to her crew, her heart swelling with pride. "We've done something incredible today," she said. "But this is just the start. There's so much more we can achieve together." Grux nodded, a smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Indeed. Let's see what other wonders we can uncover." The Zoracian festival bustled with life, the air thick with the scent of exotic spices and the sounds of laughter and music. Lydia stood at the edge of the crowd, her heart pounding with anticipation. Today was the day she would unveil her masterpiece, a gemstone necklace crafted from the once-dismissed rock. She glanced around, noting the curious glances from the Zoraxians. Some still bore traces of skepticism, but many had been won over by her earlier demonstration. Grux approached, his demeanor cautious but not unfriendly. "Are you ready?" he asked, his voice low enough for only her to hear. Lydia nodded, her hands steady despite the fluttering in her chest. "More than ready. This piece will change everything." Together, they made their way to the center of the festival, where a stage had been erected. The crowd fell silent as Lydia stepped up, holding the necklace high. The gemstone caught the sunlight, sending prismatic shards dancing across the faces of the onlookers. "This," Lydia began, her voice carrying across the gathering, "is more than just a piece of jewelry. It represents the potential of what we can achieve together." She handed the necklace to Grux, who examined it with reverence before placing it around the neck of a young Zoracian girl, symbolizing the new era of cooperation. The crowd erupted in applause, their admiration evident. Lydia felt a surge of relief and pride, but the moment was short-lived. A commotion at the edge of the festival drew everyone's attention. A group of Zoraxians, led by a stern-faced elder named Korik, marched forward, their expressions grim. "This is a sham," Korik bellowed, his voice dripping with disdain. "These humans are deceiving us with their tricks and lies. We cannot trust them." The tension in the air thickened as the crowd murmured in confusion. Grux stepped forward, his eyes narrowing. "Korik, you are wrong. I have seen the truth with my own eyes. These gems hold immense value." Korik sneered. "Value? Or just another way for these outsiders to exploit us?" Lydia stepped up beside Grux, her gaze steady. "We're not here to exploit anyone. We want to share our knowledge and work together for mutual benefit." Korik's eyes flashed with anger. "Enough! We cannot allow this farce to continue." Before anyone could react, Korik lunged towards the stage, aiming to shatter the necklace. Lydia's heart raced as she stepped in front of him, her hands raised in a placating gesture. "Please, just give us a chance to prove ourselves." Grux placed a firm hand on Korik's shoulder. "We will not let fear and distrust dictate our future. Lydia and her crew have shown nothing but respect and honesty. We owe it to ourselves to explore this opportunity." Korik hesitated, his face contorted with indecision. The crowd watched in hushed anticipation. Finally, he lowered his hand, his expression hardening. "Very well. But know this, human. If you betray us, there will be consequences." Lydia nodded, relief washing over her. "Understood. We only seek a partnership built on trust and shared prosperity." The tension began to dissipate as the festival resumed, the Zoraxians cautiously optimistic. Lydia knew the road ahead would still be fraught with challenges, but the first major hurdle had been overcome. The bond between humans and Zoraxians was growing stronger, and with it the promise of a brighter future. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the festival, Lydia looked out over the crowd, her heart swelling with hope. This was just the beginning, but it was a beginning built on a foundation of trust and cooperation. And that, she knew, was the strongest foundation of all. The sun had barely risen when Lydia-chan was summoned to the council hall. The air outside was crisp, filled with the sounds of the bustling Zoracian marketplace. Lydia walked with a sense of purpose, her mind racing with the possibilities of the day ahead. Inside the hall, the atmosphere was tense. Grux and Korik stood on opposite sides of the room, their expressions a study in contrast. Grux calm and resolute, Korik stern and watchful. Lydia took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Thank you for coming, Lydia," Grux began, his voice echoing in the grand chamber. "We have much to discuss." Korik's eyes narrowed. "Indeed, we need to ensure that this partnership is truly beneficial for both our people." Lydia nodded, meeting Korik's gaze with unwavering determination. "I understand your concerns. Our goal is to establish a fair trade system that respects the values and resources of Zorax." Grux gestured to a table laden with various minerals and gems. "We have compiled a list of resources we are willing to trade. What can you offer in return?" Lydia unfolded a holographic display, showcasing Earth's technological advancements and artisanal crafts. "We can provide advanced machinery, medical supplies, and educational materials. Additionally, we can share our expertise in various fields, from agriculture to engineering." Korik crossed his arms, his skepticism palpable. "And what guarantees do we have that you won't exploit our resources or our people?" Lydia's voice softened. "Trust is built through actions, not words. Let us start small with a pilot program. We can monitor its progress and adjust as needed to ensure mutual benefit." Grux nodded in agreement. "A reasonable approach. We can begin with the exchange of basic supplies and gradually expand as trust grows." Korik's eyes flickered with a hint of grudging respect. "Very well, but we will be vigilant." As the meeting concluded, Lydia felt a surge of relief mixed with determination. This was just the beginning of a long journey, but it was a start. The first steps towards a sustainable partnership had been taken. Later that evening, Lydia and her crew celebrated with a modest feast. The mood was jubilant, the air filled with laughter and the clinking of glasses. "To new beginnings," Lydia toasted, raising her glass high. "May this partnership flourish and bring prosperity to both our worlds." The following days were a flurry of activity. Workshops were set up, and the first shipments of Earth's technology arrived. Zoracian miners began to explore new methods of extraction using the advanced tools provided by the humans. The atmosphere was one of cautious optimism, each successful exchange strengthening the bond between the two species. Lydia spent her days overseeing the projects and her nights in discussions with Grux and Korik, ironing out details and addressing concerns. The work was exhausting but fulfilling. She felt a deep sense of accomplishment seeing the tangible results of their collaboration. One evening, as Lydia walked through the bustling marketplace, she was approached by Kira, the young Zoracian girl who had worn the first gemstone necklace. "Thank you, Lydia," Kira said, her eyes shining with gratitude. You've shown us that there's beauty and value in things we never considered. Lydia smiled, her heart swelling with pride. It's been a journey of discovery for all of us, Kira. We've only just begun. As the weeks turned into months, the partnership between humans and Zoraxians grew stronger. Lydia's efforts had not only transformed a simple rock into a symbol of unity, but had also laid the foundation for a future filled with promise and cooperation.